If you have questions or suggestions for future podcasts, please submit them in the comment section below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Hope for the new year. Hi, I'm Dave Arnott, the Christian Economist. I often explain that as an economist, I'm a pessimist, but as a Christian, I have hope. Hope is endemic to the Christian spirit and idea. We believe God is at work, even when the U.S. debt clock shows that each individual's share of the $34 trillion in national debt has increased from $85,000 to $100,000 per person in just the last 3 years. Think about that. Each of your children and grandchildren owes $100,000 in national debt. Still, there's hope. Here are about 10 economic hopes we can have for the year 2024. The Omniscient God. Okay, first, from seeing God as a small g to God with a big G. God is sovereign, so he can do whatever he wants without our help, but he chooses to allow us to join him in his great work. Now, I explained this concept in my last economics lesson each semester at Dallas Baptist University because it helps us understand how much humans should do. See, that's the whole ball game in macroeconomics. How active should monetary and fiscal policy be? Now, for an atheist, it's easy. Since they don't believe there is a God, humans have to do everything. But for Christians, or really anyone who believes in a greater being, we have decisions to make about how active fiscal and monetary policy should be. It's pretty easy to see that Christians should hope for less active fiscal and monetary policies in 2024. 2, accepting responsibility. When G.K. Chesterton was asked, "What's wrong with the United Kingdom?" he answered, "Me." But increasingly, people believe that there's nothing wrong with individuals. What's wrong is society. That's why liberal college professors train up their students to be activists. Their objective is to change the regulatory system of society. Well, they are wrong. What is wrong is the fallen nature of individuals, not societal structure. If folks start to see that the problem is based in the fallen nature, 2024 will be a better year. A free economic system. Number 3, from Karl Marx to Adam Smith. Adam Smith explained a free market capitalist system where both producers and consumers could benefit in the same exchange. Karl Marx countered it with a system that calls for the oppressed to rise up and throw off their oppressors. Guess what happens next? Another revolution, followed by, guess what? Another revolution. See, Marxism is a system of continual battles because they can always find oppressed groups. It never ends in peace. I asked my students just last week, do they still make you read Animal Farm in high school? Most of them nodded their heads, so apparently they do. There's a lot of Marxist thinking in the world today. People who support Hamas against Israel have been duped into believing that the smaller, weaker group is always oppressed. Number 4, from socialism to free market capitalism. A Christian economist favors a middle position, typically somewhere near the free market end of the spectrum, where there's enough freedom to exchange goods fairly, but where government has the role of maintaining competition and preventing monopolies. Socialism always produces monopolies that serve the supplier at the expense of the demander. It's not even a debatable subject. Number 5, from spending to saving. Brazil went through a period of sustained high inflation between about 1980 and the year 2000. During high inflationary cycles, it's not wise to save because your money becomes worth less the longer you hold it. So this period in Brazil created a culture of spending and not saving that is still obvious in Brazil today. Now, the U.S. is moving that way, and this is dangerous. Before the COVID pandemic in 2019, the U.S. savings rate was about 7%. It's now half that, about 3.5%. And total consumer credit card debt crossed the 1 trillion threshold last month. I don't have time to unpack all the various reasons for this, but one of them is inflation and the other is moral hazard. Moral hazard meaning The government bailed out many folks during the pandemic, and now people assume the government will take care of them. So why save? In an active governmental environment, it's not reasonable to save money that the government threatens to take away and give to people who don't save. Acceptance of the fallen nature. Now we have number 6, from a one-party state to the checks and balances system that the American founders intended. David Horowitz, in his book titled Dark Agenda, The War to Destroy Christian America, explained how the founding fathers believed in the fallen nature, so they set up a 3-part governmental system of checks and balances. The current Democrat Party is exercising executive controls the founders never intended. We are seeing the movement toward an administrative state that denies the fallen nature. Number 7, from liberal to conservative. Alex Haley, the author of Roots, said, "We should find the good and praise it." Conservatives do that because they believe there were some godly inspired ideas that formed our current culture. Liberals want to trash the entire system, good and bad, and start all over. Guess what happens next? Well, I just explained it in the section on Marxism. There are continual uprisings and there's never peace, because in a relativistic philosophy, nothing is objectively good. So there are continual disagreements about what is right. The value of a Christian culture. Number 8, from church as advisor to church as healer. The church has been sidelined in current American society. When Lyndon Baines Johnson pushed through the Johnson Amendment in 1954, it muted the church on political issues and sidelined them. So there's no wonder the church is not listened to anymore. That's because the church is not speaking into important issues. As Eric Metaxas points out in his latest book titled Letter to the American Church, it's obvious why the clergy are not listened to by society. It's because they chose to stop commenting on the most important topics in culture. Why should they be listened to? Why would you listen to a wimp who cowls in the face of government control and won't speak to the political events of the day, especially when it includes abortion, which has killed 1/3 of the U.S. black population? A Happy New Year. Number 9, from unhappy liberals to happy conservatives. I authored an article in American Greatness a few weeks ago questioning whether firms would use artificial intelligence to hire more conservatives. That's because AI has been pretty accurate at differentiating conservatives from liberals, because conservatives smile more than liberals. It just makes sense. Conservatives are generally happy because they want to conserve what they have. Liberals are unhappy with their lives, and when they get their way and increase the power of the government, they make themselves even less happy. And finally, number 10, from government healthcare to Christian healthcare. The largest expenditure in the federal government is healthcare. At $1.5 trillion, it is slightly higher than Social Security and about double what's spent on defense. In his book Enlightenment Now, Steven Pinker writes, quote, "We no longer need a father in the sky," end quote. Harvard University, where he teaches, would not exist without that father in the sky. Christianity has produced universities, hospitals, the list goes on and on and on. The 2 largest healthcare systems in the Dallas-Fort Worth area are Baylor, which is Baptist, and Methodist, which is Methodist. In just a few short years, we have moved from healthcare being provided by the church to it now being largely provided by government. Okay, those are just 10 hopes for 2024. Yes, there are more. But here's the important economic point. We've always had economic problems. Some of today's seem greater than those of yesteryear, but we believe in a God who solves problems, large and small. Now, so as the Christian Economist, I'm looking back and claiming the first sentence of the book by Angus Deaton titled The Great Escape. The first line he writes is, "Life is better now than any time in history." He's absolutely right. And the Christian Economist extension is, it's going to get even better. Happy New Year for 2024. I'm Dave Arnott, the Christian Economist. Fear God, tell the truth, earn a profit. See you next time. For more information, please visit us online at davearnott.com. If you have questions or suggestions for future podcasts, please submit them online or in the comments section below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.